not a good joke. That was a good joke, Jacob.
Dude, come on. I told you to be natural before we started this and like come in like on a
that
laughter note.
That was so funny. That was hilarious,
Jesus,
dude.
you're so embarrassing. I can't even.
Like,
there's nothing I can script with you that makes me.
You are so lucky to be here with him and his jokes. I wish you could have heard it. I hit record too late. That's my bad. That what a roller coaster.
And I could tell it again, but it would be even worse because Kyle's such a bad co-host for this podcast.
I could be natural during the joke. I could act like I'm hearing it for the first time.
Okay. Well, now I have to pull up the Google page that I had to quote the joke in.
The 15-minute story build up.
I'll save you guys the trouble. In case you forgot where you were and you're having amnesia for like the first 11 seconds of this podcast, welcome back to Milk and Screams.
Welcome back.
Guys, we're so excited to be here. Even though I was just telling a joke to Kyle, and that was the main focus of that little bit there. We're just so stoked.
We are, but elephant in the room, for the stands of the podcast that know that we come out on Sundays. This isn't coming out on Sunday.
Probably not. I mean, we could probably get it done.
We could get it out late Sunday, but it's not up on early Sunday.
It's okay.
So if you were looking for it on your morning Sunday drive,
we didn't die.
No, yeah, we're here. Elephant in the room. That's what happened. My school was kind of crazy last week, and then Friday we didn't record. We watched the finale of WandaVision.
Had some friends over, cooked some good din.
Saturday I was gone all day. I went and saw Raya and the Last Dragon.
Yeah. I stayed home and slept for half the day and worked the other half. So, yeah, it was a pretty crazy week. So we just kind of decided to take a Sunday and do it instead.
Double Disney day. But speaking of, we watched the WandaVision finale, like we said. I mean, we could talk about it without spoilers.
We could. That'd be no fun though.
I mean, it'd probably be preferable. It's literally 2 days since it's come out.
I'm sure people have watched it, but WandaVision good.
Very good.
Satisfying ending, I'll say.
Yes, I am very satisfied with the ending. Again, without spoilers, I'll say they didn't try to fit too much into the finale. You know, they did what I thought was good for the show in terms of just keeping it what it was and not adding too much outside content in the final episode.
There has been this conversation going around with some Marvel fans that I've kind of, towed the line with. That I kind of curious. I want to ask you what you think about it, because there are some people who are on one side who say, I don't prefer the movies to have connective tissue with every other movie or series. This case is series, right? For those reasons, people don't like Iron Man 3, right? Iron Man 3 is like its own standalone thing. There's no like connection to it. It doesn't really matter. It's like just fun. And there are other people on the other side of the line who are like, the movies to me are important because they have connective tissue with everything else. It's a continuous story. So like for that reason, they prefer the Captain America trilogy, which is, of the trilogies we have so far, the only real one.
That's the best one for sure.
It's the best one, and it's the actual completed story. Like like with Thor, like it's, first of all, it's the Thor trilogy, but the stories kind of are intermingled and don't really make sense. They're not really connected. Iron Man's kind of the same way. It's like, you go through Tony's weapon arc, but it's not a big completing arc. With Captain America, it definitely is. So where do you kind of fall? Because I've kind of had to ask myself this question. Like, I love the standalone, movies that don't have any, great consequences, and the ones that are just kind of fun. But in other ways, I like the ones that connect. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, it depends, because, I guess I shouldn't say that. I'm a fan of, especially when it comes to Marvel, I'm a fan of everything connecting.
Yeah. And
that's kind of, especially since Avengers, that's kind of been the point of Marvel at this point, is for everything to connect in some way or another. Mm-hmm. So in terms of Marvel, I'm a big fan of it. I don't really know in what other instance I would or would not be a fan of, but Marvel is really the only franchise that I'm kind of looking for those connections throughout the movies.
I think that's going to be some people's advice with WandaVision, is them, kind of making it more of a standalone, enjoyable thing for everyone to watch. Of course, there are connections to other things. Like, you have different characters from other movies coming in, and I honestly like that aspect of it. But I also like that it's not, hopefully, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, going to have some long-lasting effects like the Avengers movie. Like if they don't stop talking about the Tesseract, they would talk about the Tesseract for 10 years. Like I'm over it. They even brought in a Captain Marvel where he's just like, okay, I get it. The Tesseract is cool. Like leave it alone.
And I mean, WandaVision for the most part is standalone, but again, with this finale, there are going to be some ramifications outside of the TV show itself in at least 2 separate instances.
Yep. So, but that's it just excites me because we've had a Marvel drought over the last year because of the virus. So it's just so refreshing to get because of that, they've actually like I suppose had some time to go over and fine tune some of their stuff, like that they were still editing. So hopefully that's good. They've had some time to do some extra writing. I'm assuming they probably have done that too. They're not the kind of studio to just go, okay, well, we're gonna take a break. You know, I mean, they probably have some really good stuff in the works.
Yeah.
So that's exciting, and apparently Raya was pretty good as well.
Raya was good. I really liked it. I'm sure. I mean, depending on who you are, after seeing. Because you know how movies, the very first trailer that happens is like 10 seconds. It's just like, here's the movie.
Yeah.
And with Raya, I saw it. I was like, oh, this looks sick. And then trailers came out where they went more in depth. And then it showed the dragon. And I was like, man, that thing looks weird. And then it started talking. And I was like, I really didn't think this dragon was going to talk in this movie. And now it's Awkwafina. So I don't really know how excited I am. But it was good.
Yeah. A lot of people's issue with the dragon. And I was, as far as I was concerned, like my main issue was the Elsa face syndrome that every Disney character has now. Like with these, like if you put Elsa and the dragon side by side, they literally look the same. And when I saw the first trailer for Raya, I was like, okay, Raya actually looks different. They're actually taking the animation in a different direction, and it's more natural. The lighting looks cool.
Yeah, they look great.
I liked it. It was very interesting. And then the dragon, I was like, dude, they could make the dragon, you know, more cool and like, you know.
Well, I mean, in terms
cool, but just like
I mean,
graceful.
in terms of the dragon's design itself, they're of course trying to stick more with what the Southeast Asian version of a dragon is, because you know the different cultures, the way that dragons are portrayed in their fantasy and their cultural lore. Their designs are different as you go between regions. In Southeast Asia, and this is set in Cambodia, Southeast Asian dragons are sort of in that regard, as opposed to our big-winged fire-breathing. Theirs are more a little bit skinnier, graceful, don't have like the beast nature that we associate with it. So like design-wise, it, obviously, especially as an American, it looked weird for me as a dragon, but I just really didn't expect it to talk. Like the first time I saw the trailer, I was like, this is going to be this, you know, a good, like hard-hitting, really seriously toned movie, which it is. But it's got, you know, it's got the comedy bits that Disney has, which I wasn't really expecting until I saw later trailers where Awkwafina started talking about whatever she was in the trailers. I forget.
I haven't seen the movie, but another pet peeve I've seen people talk about is the modern speak that happens in these types of movies that are pure fantasy or like based off of mythology. It happens in Moana too, which is another highly praised Disney movie, but where like the characters talk about like Twitter, or they like bring up things that are like modern day and like make jokes about it. Some people, that's their really big pet peeve. Like they wish they was just kind of like just stay, you know, in the time period. Cause
yeah, I mean, I didn't notice that. I've never seen that happen in Moana or this movie.
Oh, in Moana, Maui makes a joke specifically about tweeting. Like he writes, he takes the chicken, hey, is that his name?
Yeah.
And like writes something on, like autographs her oar, and then says something about tweeting. And then I don't know the joke in the Raya movie, but he said that there's this reviewer that I watched said there was quite a few jokes that were just like that just take you out of the time period, and it makes it, you know, like it's. I feel like the writers, when they have a problem doing actual comedy, they just write things about the modern day that people go, oh, I know that joke because you know, I don't know. For movies like that where they have a specific time period and place and setting that rely on that to make the movie, it doesn't make sense to me why you would have a joke like that. Do actual comedy. You know what I mean? Like that you know, rely on the characters and their emotions and their for lack of a better word, character to make jokes and make things funny.
Yeah, there
don't have jokes.
There was some comedy in the movie that was really good. I laughed at quite a few instances, and there were some comedy bits that just kind of fell flat for me because there were a couple lines that I was like, this line specifically is gonna hit children only. So there were a couple of those lines, but the comedy and the kind of demeanor of around some of the comedy, I thought was really endearing. I was also just, obviously I love musicals, but I really liked that there's a Disney princess movie without the musical aspect of it.
Yep.
I was a big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan.
People were saying that too.
I mean, the last time that happened was Brave, and that was Pixar.
That was Pixar. Yeah, it wasn't Disney. This is like probably one of the first ones.
I think. I mean, there's probably something else that I'm forgetting right now, but in terms of like the main Disney princesses or like the main movies, this is the first one.
Yeah, I might be forgetting something too, but it's a bit of a departure. And like I said, I don't think I've said this on here, but I told you, this movie to me was not advertised at all. Anything Disney or anything that Disney covers like Marvel or Pixar, I get ads. I don't have ads on YouTube like at all. I have YouTube Red, but on Twitter, any social media that I go on, even YouTube, I will find ads for a Disney movie of any kind, like Marvel, like I said, Marvel or Pixar or anything. I have not received one. I had to search for an ad for like
I got a million of them. Yeah, I got them constantly.
I don't know what it was, but it's in the fact that it also released on Disney Plus and in theaters the week that WandaVision was ending. It just like made it seem like Disney didn't want people to see this movie. I don't know. Like they could have waited till next week when there's nothing on Disney Plus big that's going on. Like I don't know why they couldn't do that. That would make perfect sense to me.
Right. I'm sure there's something behind the scenes that they know that we don't, but I got nothing.
But so that's the main world updates. Kyle brought something up to me that I was kind of excited to talk about because it's not something I think about often because of reasons, but that I'll get into. But this is part of kind of why I have a conspiracy, a very, very light, floaty conspiracy that I think we talked about on the podcast before.
I think we briefly mentioned it when we were doing conspiracy theories. Yeah. I think I mentioned it about you.
Yeah, that I am the only living being on this earth, that I'm in the Matrix.
And the rest of us are robots sent from the government to just be around you, I guess. I don't really know what the fleshed out conclusion of your theory is. It's just that we're here and you're the only one with flesh.
Sometimes I just think this world can't exist. There's no way it exists this way. I don't know how that is possible. Like something's happened to me that seems so out of this world that I'm just like, there's no way. And this is one of them. This thing that you brought up, injuries, our own personal weird injuries. This specifically does not make sense to me. I should have 1 million broken bones by now.
Me too.
But I'm gonna let you lead off with it because you brought this up to me, so I want you to kind of.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we're just gonna talk about specifically the dumb ways we've been injured. Mm-hmm. I have been injured many, many times, especially throughout sports. None of which were like dumb injuries. Like I've gotten a good dislocation in all of my digits, mostly.
Digits.
But some of my dumb ones, I've got 3 really dumb ones. One of them being very recent. So I guess I'll lead off with that one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So right before we moved here to Gainesville, it was 2 days before we left to come down here. We moved in August 15th. And
oh yeah.
It was the morning of August 14th. So when I'm back home, I stay in a room with my younger brother, and there's a bunk bed in there, and I was sitting on the top bunk. That's where I was staying the entire time because quarantine had happened. I was there for months. So we were finally going to be leaving, and August 14th, I woke up and my legs were numb. And that happens to me sometimes. I'll wake up and my legs will just be numb for whatever reason. I don't typically think much of it. So yeah, I wake up, legs numb. I don't really care. And I swing my legs over the side of the bed and I jump out of bed because, top bunk, I just jump down. And my legs were the state of numb where you can't do anything with them. And like your muscles don't respond to what your brain is telling them to do. They're just kind of in that starred, frizzy mode that muscles tend to be in when they're numb.
TV static.
It kind of feels like TV static. And so I jumped down and my legs just crumpled beneath me. And because I couldn't do anything. And that had happened to me a couple months prior, also during quarantine. But I just kind of fallen. And I sat there for a couple minutes and I was like, that was weird. And I got up. But this time, I jumped down and did the same thing. Legs crumpled, but my left foot just was screaming at me. And I about screamed when I landed too, but my younger brother was still sleeping. This was like 7:15 in the morning. Mm. so I wasn't screaming. I'm on the ground for like 10 minutes doing my best not to scream and wake him up, just doing this number so I wasn't screaming. You know that number. You
That
know how
number.
That goes. You
What
know
number is that?
The musical number. The musical number.
Okay.
And
all right.
I literally,
I don't think that was 100% necessary.
like 10, 15 minutes of that happening. No, I'm serious. Because
10 minutes? That's a
I'm
long time.
almost positive that I broke something in the top of my foot because like it still hurts now.
Yeah. It
If I pivot a certain way or if I land a certain way, it'll be in that exact spot. Not to where it like hurts a lot anymore, but where I can definitely tell that there's still something not 100% healed up there. And my mom, however long ago, had broken a bone on the top of her foot, and had a lot of the similar pains and swelling that I was having. That's why I'm pretty sure I broke one of those small bones on the top of my foot. But I don't go to doctors, that kind of thing.
One day.
That's money I'm not going to spend for them to tell me, it's broken, when I already knew that.
One day, you're going to be sitting on the porch many years from now with your spouse and your little youngling running outside, and you're going to be like, all right, I'll get up and play with him. And you'll get up and you'll walk out into the yard with your loafers and your khakis on, your belt snugly around your waist. It's like a Monday afternoon. It's like the beautifulest day outside, and you're going to be like playing Frisbee with him. You're going to throw Frisbee back and forth. And he's going to launch it up in the air. And you're going to be like, oh, I can get that. And you run up. Your wife's watching. And you go, oh, wee. And you're going to have to explain to your wife, oh, yeah, on moving day, August 14th, I jumped out of bed. And my foot broke, but I refused for like 12 years to go to the doctor and get a proper cast and get it fixed.
I'm not going to the doctor for this. In another 2 months, I literally won't feel it ever again.
That's what you said 2 months? That's what you said 6 months ago.
Yeah, and at this point, I literally haven't felt it in about 2 months. So I haven't had any problems with it so far.
Why are you flexing at me? You're like, so what, Jacob?
I shrugged. You're just intimidated by stupid things, I think.
I am really intimidated by stupid things. I have not trauma, but it's just like, if you raise your hand at me, I'm
I think also, especially just as we live across the apartment, just randomly, I'll just kind of smack you or just punch you. And so sometimes I'll just go to the kitchen drawer to like grab a fork or something, like 20 seconds after having punched you or something, and you'll flinch while I'm going for the drawer. I'm like, I'm just getting a fork. I promise I had no intention of hitting you.
Me and both my sisters, Hannah and Emily. Well, I guess not Hannah that much, but Emily especially. We both are like that for some reason. Like we always think someone's gonna hit us, and like I don't know, it's just part of our personality or whatever.
So okay, so that's. I'll save some of these other ones. I got like 2 others dumb ways I've been injured, but I need to hear more about why you think this is a simulation robot thing because of injuries.
So, okay. I have never broken a bone, ever. Not one. And I think there should have been plenty of times where I've fallen from great heights, where I've done silly things that should have at least resulted in 1 or 2 broken bones in my lifetime. I don't typically play it safe, especially when I'm in the moment. Like if I think about, hey, go climb a tree and jump out of it, I'm like, oh, that's dangerous. I wouldn't do that. But if people are around me and I'm like just high off of the adrenaline of just being in a group of people, I'll do anything. Like it does not matter. I will do anything for like laughs or for just the bit in general. So I've jumped out of trees plenty of times, and from like 3 stories high, like 30 feet at least, and not had any significant injuries. But then one time when I was like 9 years old, I was jogging to the bus stop. This is the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me. My vertebrae in my neck dislocated while I was running, just jogging briskly. This happens to some people who are growing, like they're just growing, and their neck just cricks, and they there's nothing they can do except go to a chiropractor and get it adjusted, because it just, there's an air pocket or something. But I remember just jogging, thinking nothing, and then click, and I was like, my neck. I could not like focus. Like I thought I just broke my neck. I literally couldn't move my neck, and like I was having trouble breathing because I was freaking out, and I literally was like late for the bus, so I had to go to school. I was at school the whole day. I was like in so much pain the whole entire day. I couldn't focus at all. And I came home. We were just about to do play at church, so I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. How am I gonna sit on stage and like while I'm in so much pain? They like, my grandmothers were both in town because of the play, so they were like, home remedies, and they like, one thing my grandma did. Oh no, this is her remedy for like earaches, but she takes a bunch of coarse ground salt and puts it in a sock, or like she heats the salt on a griddle, like a really like gets it nice and hot, and then she pours it in a sock and ties the sock into a knot, and then she puts it on the ear. So what it does is it kind of just absorbs the moisture out of your ear, and it works. So what I tried to do one time when I had an earache, this is off topic, I just got to say though because it's in my mind now. The sock got cold, and I still had the earache. I was like, oh, I'll just put the sock in the microwave, and the sock caught on fire.
Yeah, that tracks.
It was just funny. But anyways, I went to a chiropractor because what was happening essentially was they were applying cold compresses to my back and then warm heat. And essentially because my spine was so jacked up from the dislocation, my spine just kept on twisting. So like it was kind of like out of cattywampus, but it was just twisting. So, long story short, the chiropractor did like some electric therapy thing. I don't remember, but the chiropractor was literally right next door to the church that we were doing the play at. So it couldn't have been more happenstance than that. So we got it fixed, and I was still kind of stiff, but on stage I was totally fine. My mom said the same thing happened to her. Like she was brushing her teeth in the morning one time, and then she flipped her hair up, and click, like her neck kind of just snapped, and she remembered the feeling. It's probably like one of the most painful things I've ever had to endure as a human, like that instance, right? So aside from that, I've never had any major injuries, but I've done, like I said, done stupid things. Up north, we were doing like some crazy up north redneck crap. We had a snow tube that was tied to an ATV, and the way my aunt's houses line up, there's 3 houses right next to each other. That's my aunt, my grandmother in the middle, and then my other aunt. So all that property is ours, and it's a big stretch of property. So we were riding the ATV around the yards all the way around, while with one cousin was driving, the other cousins are sitting in the tube. So, we lean into it to make it go like drift and stuff like that. And I was, being dumb, and I leaned back all the way into the inner tube. So the inner tube was facing up, and I was laying back like all the way back. And I looked up, and he was swinging it really fast, and I crushed my aunt's mailbox. Sorry, it was a weird throat thing.
Yeah.
I crushed my aunt's mailbox, like flattened it, and the mailbox had a straight up like thick wooden beam in the center of it, like most mailboxes do. Right. And I completely floored, like crushed it, and like didn't even make a dent. Didn't make a dent into my body at all. It hurt, obviously, but I didn't break a bone, didn't crush my collarbone, anything like that. What's it not? I mean, I've already talked about this story. I got ran over. Right. That was kind of a dumb injury, but my elbow that was ran over didn't break at all. It was just kind of got some road rash and stuff like that.
I'll say this. A lot of what you're talking about is honestly just explaining so many people's childhood experience. Not everybody's, but a lot of people's, where they did a lot of stupid things and never had sustained serious injuries, because that was my childhood as well. Yeah, I don't understand why. Obviously, I'm kind of being tongue-in-cheek about the, conspiracy thing. Obviously, I don't believe everyone's a robot, but it's just like... Yeah, you do. Like 70% you do. I'd say like 30% of the time I believe that. All right. That's definitely dropped over the years then. But this is like a substantiated part of it. Like, why have I not been like hospitalized because of my injuries, because of my dumb things that I do? Maybe I should just try and break a bone one time. Like, just really try. I could break your bone right now. It would take 2 seconds. I can break a bone, right? I can break a bone. Give me a hammer in your foot, and we'll break quite a few. I mean, yeah, obviously if I did that. But then, like, what if it's real? Then I just wasted my time. And money. And money, yeah. And because we know it's going to be a waste, Jacob, because you are real. And boneful. Oh, I'm real, that's and right. The rest of us are boneful as well. So if I take a hammer to someone who's boneful... So you're going to be less boneful.
Yeah, and then
Or more boneful, technically, because your bone will be multiple bones at that point.
and then I'll go to jail. So I probably shouldn't do that.
I don't think you're going to go to jail.
No, if I hit somebody else.
Oh, well, I'm going to be hitting you.
Well, I'm saying if I am
with consent as well. I'm not going to jail.
I'm convinced I'm boneful, but my bones aren't breaking for some reason. There's a reason they want my body preserved.
So hit yourself.
I could, right? Or to convince myself that other people are not boneful, I could hit them.
But you know people who have broken their bones.
Broken their bones, duh, like in quotes.
You've seen people with bones sticking out of their body.
I mean, yeah, on the internet. I don't think I've seen it in real life.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. The closest thing I've seen is when I was playing football.
Sorry, if you're squeamish, then maybe I don't know. Skip like 2 minutes.
It's not that crazy. Kid's hand got smashed between two helmets.
Right, I think we talked about this.
Yeah, and his fingers were all like jacked up and mangled and stuff like that. Like it weren't like bleeding, but it was just like all messed up. And the coach, who was also happened to be his dad, just kind of like mashed his fingers back into place. And was like, "You good?" And he was like, "I guess." And went back on the field and played the rest of the game. Also, I mean, I guess I was kind of, for lack of a better word, a wuss in football too. So I didn't really do that much hitting. So maybe that's why I didn't get injured in football. But
I think I'll throw this story out there real quick. I think the dumbest way I've been injured is the one that is very obvious on me. So I have this scar on the left side of my forehead. Mm-hmm. If you don't know me, then you don't know that. Scar on the left side of my forehead.
It's actually Harry Potter.
I am Harry Potter when I wear my glasses. Watch out. Mm-hmm. It happened 7th or 8th grade. I forget. I was in middle school. And
were you really in middle school?
I was in middle school.
This happened much earlier than that.
No, I was in middle school. And I specifically remember that I was in middle school because I remember after the fact when I had gotten patched up, they super glued it. I'll get to that. They super glued it, and it made the scar look like this real deep red purple, and there was like a jagged outline of super glue around it, and I thought it looked absolutely gnarly. And that was the first time I ever wanted my hair cut because I had a bowl haircut, and I had like the long JB hair. At that point, that was the first time I ever wanted it cut because I wanted people to see what was happening there because it looked so sick. But also I didn't because I didn't want to have to explain the story, which I will now explain. This is going to take 10 seconds.
Cool.
I was going to go take a shower, and then I went and stepped into the tub, and my right foot, immediately as I stepped in, slipped out from under me, and then I, like an inverted pendulum, I like swung forward, and my head went straight down, and my feet went out, and my head hit the soap dish that was connected to the bathtub. It's a ceramic soap dish. So I had banged this soap dish, and I don't know if this has happened to you, but have you ever had an injury where it didn't really hurt until you saw what the injury was?
Yeah.
This was one of those instances. I hit my head, and I was like, ow, that hurt. And I touched my head, and I saw blood on my hand, and I was like, dang it, I'm bleeding. Like, it really didn't hurt that bad. I was like, Mom, you come here. I'm bleeding. And I don't think we had Band-Aids in our bathroom. We might have. I don't remember. But my instinct was to say, hey, can you come look at this? I can't see it because it's on my head. And so she came into the bathroom, and she, like, looked at me, and she was, like, her eyes, like, widened, and she kind of got freaked out. And she was like, we're going to the hospital. And she turned around and started to get stuff together. And I was like, this doesn't hurt. Why are we going to the hospital? And then I looked in the mirror, and I saw, the gash in my forehead, and it opened. It was a severe gash. Like, it was like probably half an inch wide, if not a little wider. And it was pretty deep as well. And that's when it really started to hurt because I saw what was happening. And then I don't know really why that happens, but I guess my brain registered the severity of the pain I should be experiencing and then gave it to me. So then I started experiencing that pain.
You know what I thought about as well? I think the brain realizes if I were to, the brain speaking to itself, if I were to feel the pain that I am supposed to be feeling right now, I probably will be overstimulated and like die. So time to turn off all the switches right now. And I think it probably sends a bunch of there's a word for it, endorphins, right to your pain receptors to shut them off. Or sometimes you pass out. Like some people definitely just pass out when they feel that much pain. Like when you break your femur, that's a typical thing that happens.
And of course there are instances where you have like an adrenaline rush, and so you don't feel the pain or as much pain as you should be. But in my case, obviously there was no adrenaline rush happening.
That might be exactly what
or
happened.
maybe it happened for 10 seconds, because then as soon as I saw it in the mirror, then I started feeling the pain. So
Right.
if it wasn't adrenaline rush that was like no pain, it didn't last for more than 10 to 15 seconds. So then after that, we're leaving and my mom gives me a towel to put on my head because I'm losing copious amounts of blood. I say that I don't remember how much blood I was losing. I don't know if it was really happening that quickly. I just remember that she gave me a towel and said, do not take this off of your head. So it kind of felt like that I was losing blood and she didn't want that to happen anymore, which fair. But the whole way there, again, I want to say I was 12. And so I had this big gash in my head. And the way there, I was going, Mom, am I gonna die? Am I gonna die? And this is like right before the instance in my life, or right at the instance in my life where I really stopped being sensitive about really anything. Because before this, if I got punched or experienced the slightest amount of pain from my brothers, or like someone emotionally hurt me with a word or something, I would just cry. I was a sensitive kid. And this was kind of the tail end of that. Because then either it was right before or right after this had happened was when my dad had passed away as well. So it was all this like in this instance of like no more sensitivity, no more crying. But this was like the tail end of it, because I was like tearing up and I straight up thought I was going to die on the way there.
Yeah.
And we get there and the doctor's like, this is too wide and too deep for stitches, so we're super gluing your head together. And I didn't know that there was a medical super glue. I thought they were just going to straight up like pull out some Gorilla Glue and just slather it on my head. And I could have done that at home without paying you stupid doctors. Doing something I could have done myself. But yeah, so that's easily the stupidest way I've been injured, is literally just slipping in a bathtub. Unless you think jumping from 5 feet in the air is a dumber way to get injured. I guess that's a subjective decision.
I think the car getting ran over is the stupidest way by far.
For you?
100%. I've also injured other people by accident.
I accidentally broke a dude's rib.
I broke Allie's rib
playing soccer
in show choir. I don't think it was the year that you went, but I broke.
No, it was the year before.
Yeah, I we were doing some stupid stunt and I broke her rib. I've also dropped Sarah, I think, a couple times during human video.
Yeah, I broke a dude's rib because on my old soccer team when I was in city soccer, like once a week at practice we would do a kids versus parents game, and I was playing keeper this one game, and I slid out and grabbed the ball the way the guy that was dribbling up to me. And when he tried to kick is when my hands got there, so he tripped over himself into the ground and broke his rib. And then in the same way, I accidentally tore a friend's ACL playing soccer in high school. Exact same thing. Slide out, grab the ball. It was Jared Buffkin, one of the other keepers. He went to kick, fell, and instead of breaking a rib, tore his ACL. So
injuries are weird.
They kind of did it to themselves, but I kind of did it to them. Okay. And playing soccer, we were in a soccer game, and a lot of times what happens when you're playing soccer as a keeper, like the opposing team will try to cross it to the center, and if you really can't get your hands on it to catch it, but you can get a hand to it, like you'll come out and just punch the ball, and like you'll yell keep so people get out of the way, and you punch the ball. So I came out and did that, and just like I had to put a lot of speed between me and the ball to jump and go punch this ball. And my entire body hit Kyler, one of our defenders, and then he fell and he had a concussion for like 5 weeks. So he missed like 7 of our games because I knocked him to the dirt on accident. I've injured a lot of other people playing soccer, and I've injured myself a lot playing soccer.
Yeah.
I just realized that. Like if I listed all the amount of times I've injured people and myself, that would be a very long list.
Have we ever injured each other? I don't think so.
Not like an actual injury besides like, I don't know, like bruising of the arm for a punch or something. Maybe. I don't think we've ever done anything like that to each other.
And whenever we wrestle, I kind of just give in and go limp. Yeah.
That's typically how it goes. But yeah, like, because I know myself and Douglas have injured each other, myself and Robert as well, because especially when we hang out at their house. Used to when we were younger, there's this bridge past their house, and we would go down there and we would put one couch cushion down at the river below it, and then because you know when you're younger you do a lot of imaginative stuff, so we would act like we were in the zombie apocalypse, and so we had these airsoft guns we would run with, and we would get to the bridge and we'd put an arm on it, and then we'd hop over the 20-foot drop to land on this one couch cushion. And there have been a couple times where we jumped one right after the other, and the person at the bottom hadn't yet gotten off the couch cushion, and so we'd like land on each other's ankles. Thankfully, we never broke or dislocated each other's ankles, but we definitely sprained each other's ankles multiple times.
I thought of one more, and then we'll move on from this to talk about what Kyle wants to talk about today. It was really, 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 really dumb. If you can think of a sport that I myself have gotten injured by, and it has to do with my ankle, what would you think that sport would be?
I don't know, because I really only know that you've played football.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't something I did like for a long time. It was something I did like that day.
Basketball?
Basketball? No. No.
Hurting your ankle. My best guess is basketball, or I don't think it was soccer. That doesn't make any sense. I don't think you ever played soccer.
Are you ready?
Swimming.
No.
Dang it.
Goofy golf.
That's not a sport.
It's kind of a sport. It's a game, or it
goes back to our debate we had before. I guess by my definition, it counts as a sport, which means I have to redefine what a sport is, because goofy golf is not a sport.
Goofy golf. So I was just on the goofy golf course. This is back when we were at Mariana for the kids camp thing or whatever for church, and someone just putted, and they putted really, really hard while I was standing in front. And it hit my ankle, and I crumbled because it hurt like a mother. Like my ankle was really, really. It was hit the ball of my ankles. It was just so badly bruised.
Just this golf ball that wasn't even in the air, just kind of hit you while it was on the ground.
It was really hard though. Like the guy was like he swung back fully and went bah, and I was like, oh my! I thought I like broke something. Like it hurt so bad. Took me to the nurse, and like, I mean, obviously I was fine, but like it left a big old purple bruise on my ankle.
That's so
bad.
Funny.
Yeah, that's probably the dumbest way I got injured. I didn't even get injured, but like it's the dumbest way for sure. So yeah, injuries. What a wild thing.
Now from injuries to NFTs.
Injuries to NFTs.
Okay, so I have recently learned. We both have recently learned what NFTs are, and in the broadest of senses. If you are unaware. Essentially, NFT stands for non-fungible token. And basically what it is like it's like a crypto online collectible, I'll call it. Mm-hmm. So, for instance,
non-fungible means like you can't physically hold it. Is that what it means?
I think that's what non-fungible. You look it up real quick as I speak. I guess a good example is recently NBA has been doing these where you can buy NBA highlights as NFTs and you owned that highlight. And obviously these highlights exist for free on the internet on things like YouTube, and for the NFT specifically, it's you owned that highlight. There's no really way other to describe why people value it other than the fact that they own it. And it's most instances for me of these NFTs are really dumb.
Yeah. They're really dumb.
Because I'll start with the NBA as an example. I've got a couple. These NBA Top Shot things. This is a thing that's actually backed by the NBA. Like, it's not a fan thing. Like, this is something the NBA is making money off of. So, like I said, you can buy highlights. And, I don't know, a week ago, there were 11,000 packs or something that you had to wait in line to buy and to see if you could get one. And they were like $100. Mm-hmm. And I think they were randomly assorted different highlights. And the crazy thing, and this line to get into it was like 210,000 people waiting in the queue to get one of these 11,000 packs. That was, again, $100. And people want these highlights so bad. A LeBron dunk as a highlight, $203,000 people are paying to want some of these things. Or like a Steph Curry 3-pointer. You could sell for $3,000.
That's so nuts.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
So
it's ridiculous.
The definition between fungible and non-fungible. Fungible means exchangeable. So a movie ticket is fungible. You can give it to anyone else to use.
Right.
A typical plane ticket, on the other hand, is non-fungible. So it's used one time. You can't just give someone else a plane ticket after you used it, and or not after you used it, but you can't just give it to somebody else and they use it. So that's the best kind of example that I've seen from 5 seconds of Googling. So I didn't mean tangible, because I was trying to think of like an art collection, right? Which is the best example that I've seen so far. People who collect art, if it's the first of the thousands of copies and it's the original, like people will pay top dollar for that stuff. Having prints is a totally different thing, than having the original Mona Lisa or whatever. Which to me, if you're into art, that makes sense to me. But this, specifically this example with the highlight reel, like that does not make sense to me.
Or for instance, there are Jake Paul NFTs. Logan Paul, excuse me. You can go buy highlights from his YouTube channel, and you might think, what highlights are these? Are they like pivotal moments in the YouTube career, or like him winning a fight? No, they're him opening Pokemon boxes. $15,000 you pay to get this video of him opening a Pokemon box, which again, this is free on YouTube to just watch. And additionally, if you wanted, you could literally just grab the video footage and make your own video of him doing that, and you would own that video. But for some reason, the specific selling of the NFT by him makes it the original thing, and it's worth a lot of money.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Like again, I think for the online art community, like this is like the best thing ever that people are into this stuff, because that is so cool. It's a collectible thing, and I understand it. Like there are people who make collectibles, totally get it. The original is more valuable because it's not a copy. Cool, but not for videos. There's so many,
I'm a fan of collecting things, right? Like I have this big collection of Disney pins.
Yep.
I love Disney pins, the trader pins, the park collections. I love Disney pins. If Disney came out with an NFT and was like, here's this digital pin of Cinderella's castle, right? It's this really cool looking quote unquote pin. It's digital. It's limited edition, 500 of them, whatever. Buy it if you want to. I'm not doing that.
You know what's funny to me?
Ever. And I'm not buying after some people bought it. Like, I'm selling this pin for $4,000 limited. I'm not buying that. I can't do anything. It would sit there on my computer. Like, I can't print it out and put on this. These pins I have are on a corkboard on display in my room. It's decoration, and I love looking at them. I couldn't care less about anything that's just sitting on my computer.
You know what's funny to me? I can definitely see Disney doing this in the next 10 years. If this NFT thing really goes off, I can 100% see Disney doing that. And the same argument could be made for pins, but pins are tangible.
And that's the thing. When people try to explain this, like for the NBA highlights, for instance, they're like, why are people buying these NBA highlights when it's free to look at on YouTube? And then some people try to make the argument, well, like people collect baseball cards. It's just a picture of a man. You could find a picture of the man on the internet and make a card if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's backed by the NBA validates it for some people. But here's my thing. Like with a baseball card, for instance, sure, I could go online and find a picture of Babe Ruth, but making it into what a baseball card form is and then formatting it to where it looks like aesthetically the way that I want it and putting stats on there and all that kind of thing, that's not something I'm going to put the time into. That takes work, and that's why people make baseball cards to do that. The YouTube videos of someone, like a highlight of a basketball game, that doesn't even take any work. The people that shot the basketball game already did that work. You literally just have to click and drag, put it on your YouTube channel, and boom, it's there. It takes no work to throw a highlight on YouTube, and it takes zero work for you to look it up and then just watch it.
I wonder if in the future this is going to kind of be how we get videos. I certainly hope not. I mean, obviously, not every video is going to be a pay-per-view,
I think
buy, but this is looking really kind of bad for the future of like the open internet. You know what I mean?
I don't think it looks bad for the future of open internet. I think it looks good for creators on the internet. Because, like, say for instance, someone like PewDiePie, right? He could make NFTs of videos that already exist as well.
Sure.
He's gonna make money off of that. People are gonna be like, I have this is the original video, quote unquote. This is the original moment of this PewDiePie thing that happened. I own that. Woohoo.
Cool.
PewDiePie is gonna make money off that. That person's happy. Whatever. I'm sure creators at some point could also use NFTs to try and make exclusive content for people that want to buy that video, and they're the only ones that have seen that.
Yep.
If they want to do that, cool. I'm really not that worried about being barred from content that they're making exclusive, as long as they're not only starting to be exclusive as a content creator.
Yes. So my point is that's a very slippery slope. This is already happening where you can subscribe to creators on different platforms, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, where you can just pay membership, right? So, only their truest fans or only people who pay that extra dollar can see the extra content or see it early, like Patreon, right? So that's already happening. So my biggest fear is internet companies, like people who are bigger than YouTube and Google, see this and say, okay, people are willing to pay for this kind of stuff. Now it's never going to be free again. People are going to say in the future, no, this can't happen. There's no way. And I can already see like into the future, like with Article 13 in the UK and there was another really big one that was circulating in the US, but I haven't heard anything about it since. I forget what it was called. It wasn't Article 13. It was another one. But Ajit Pai, the guy who was, championing it, was really trying to like cut off a huge part of the internet. That's been a part of it since its inception. And I think free internet is the key to a good internet. The ability to have freedom and you do it for whatever you want to use it for is a huge thing to me. So if NFTs keep going off like this, if they keep, only giving access to people who have the money to buy it. First of all, it's a huge economic bar from people who genuinely like people's content but can't afford it. And it's, dumb that we have to pay for things that we've had for free for, 30 years. You know what I mean? I don't
think that the things that we have for free now are ever going to turn to things that we're going to have to pay for in terms of NFT. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Even if NFTs do pop off, I don't think that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But so NFTs have been around since like 2009.
Yeah.
So 2009, the amount of money that was generated, like that was spent on NFTs, was like $60 million something dollars. 2020, it was $250 million. The last 30 days on NBA Top Shot alone, $247 million. On NBA Top Shot alone is already basically hit the mark that was hit in all of the year 2020.
I'm telling you, I hate saying this over and over again, but this is literally capitalism again.
And there's
people have been able to watch this stuff for years, Kyle, and now they're saying you have to pay for it if you want to watch someone's highlights.
No, they're not saying that.
I guarantee you, if you go on YouTube right now and try and find these highlights, they're not going to be as
easy
to
there.
Find.
I promise. They're right there on the front page. Literally, the only point of NFT is that it's the original. What you have there when you buy that is that counts as the original work. It counts as the original highlight. That is the point of the NFT. Not exclusivity or the fact that it's no longer on YouTube and now I have it. It's right there. You look up LeBron dunk NBA Game 7 Finals. First search is going to be that dunk that you're looking for. But the fact that these people have it on NFT just means that it's the original highlight. And for some people, especially that this is backed by the NBA, that validates it for them. And that's what they really care about.
Because that doesn't make sense to me, because there's no need for it.
Exactly. There's no need. There's no incentive. And in our minds, I don't understand it in terms, like, again, art, I understand it a little bit more. I still don't really, because it's just art that's on my computer. I can't still do anything with it. It's just kind of there. Like, I can't even use it to like decorate my room. And if I wanted to, I could just find the art piece and like screenshot it and then blow it up with a good resolution. I got artwork, but I wouldn't have to pay thousands of dollars just to say that I have the original crypto NFT version of it.
Some people, art is very different to people. Like I think the both of us aren't very like artistic in terms of like, you know, like in that way, like looking at specifically like art made by creators on the internet or art, you know, that's, you know, drawn or like painted, like we can look at a piece and go, oh, okay, cool, this is neat. But some people really like art, and I think art is looked at a lot differently in the past 30 years than it has for the entirety of history. Now that we have these tools that don't require paper, that don't require like materials, like actual materials, but you do it all digitally and do much different things and have different perspectives and editing and stuff like that, and take some really good, you know, technique. I think it creates a good and a bad thing, right? So you have good thing, right? You have unlimited creativity and unlimited tools to use. You know, you don't have to go, oh, I have to find this color for the paint and like all this stuff. You have it right here on your computer. But because the internet the way the internet is, it's hard to make money that way. Even harder than it would be for someone to say, hey, I want you to paint this. Here's some money. And even that was hard. You know what I mean? So that's why you see a lot of these big artists of the past being hired by the church, and why they only did religious painting was because that was the only place that had money. So, you know, that's why those things exist. Like Michelangelo's David was a huge investment from the church to make that statue. It's notorious for that reason. So now with NFTs, people having the original copy or an original piece of artwork from this artist, their own style and whatever, means a lot to them. I think that's definitely where that is headed. And I think other companies, sports companies, music companies, which drives me even crazier, you know, I bet you even some kind of movies or animation studios like could probably get on in on this as well, like selling exclusive clips to movies, with better access, like sooner access or something like that. Like that can definitely happen too. If you have the money, great. And this is like, again, it's like who has the money is willing to pay for that kind of access or content. People who don't have the money are left completely out, and that just kind of to me is like, ugh, I don't like it.
Again, even with the art thing, it's important, like for these NFTs, it's important to them that they have like the original work. Cool. A lot of these art ones, they're only selling one, right?
Yeah.
They could choose to sell as many as they want, but they're selling one, and that's the original NFT. Cool. It's important to you to have the original. Fine, I get it.
If you're an art head, like
exactly,
yeah,
and I way more understand that when it comes to physical art, especially for art heads. But the fact that it's just digital. Again, if you're an art head, it probably makes more sense in your brain, but I couldn't care less. I might have your original work, and the second I close my computer, like it's just kind of in the computer for literally nothing. And like when someone comes over to your house and they're like, "Oh, what a beautiful home you have. Also, do you want to see this piece of art that I bought for $100,000 from this artist online that I have to pull up on my computer here?" That's, you know, now it's here on my computer. And now that we're done looking at it, I'll close my computer and it's gone. Dude, like I way more understand it for physical art.
Okay, off topic. Now we need to talk about your engineering mind and my economic mind. You need to make.
Oh, you have an economic mind now?
You need to make a digital art collector piece. So imagine like a screen, but like make it more, I don't know,
screeny.
No, hear me out. This is serious.
Yeah, I don't believe you, but let's hear it.
So imagine like, you know, those menus at McDonald's that are, you know, touchscreen, you choose your own. Okay. Imagine a screen like that, take all the McDonald's stuff away, super sheen, nice, presentable, big, sizable, that everyone can see.
Okay. And
it works like a portrait. But it's set on a cycle to display a piece of art and then cycle on to the next piece. And it's customizable. You can choose the order that goes into it via computer or your phone or something like that. Like you can do pictures or you can do art pieces, as in your own digital art exhibit. You can have them displayed around in your house. Like I feel like like I said, this is not for the everyday common man, but for some people that would be a huge like, you know, flex to other people. Like, oh, look at this digital art I have. Instead of pulling it up on their computer, now it's just displayed. You know, and people can just sit and gawk at it. You know, what do you think about that?
I think that already exists
Well, yeah,
in terms of
but we
this
can make a company.
quote unquote invention idea. I mean, it's not even an invention. It's a program that people plug into their TV and then it's there.
Not on their TV, Kyle.
Literally I don't care. A screen of any shape that you want. It doesn't matter. It already exists. Put it on a screen. Make the screen whatever shape you want. I don't care. But that already exists. B, sure, I guess that's fine. That would make more sense. But even then, I couldn't really, again, this is a part of me that isn't that into art.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even with my Disney pins, there are a lot of scalper Disney pins. There are a lot of ones that are fake that don't come straight from Disney. They're the exact same pin as the one that I want, but they're not the ones that come straight from Disney. I don't care about that. Some people do because at some point they might want to sell the pin and people want the real version and the fake versions go for less. I don't care about that. I just care about the aesthetic of the Disney pin and the fact that it's on my board and I have the set. I don't care if it's real or not. So this whole original thing, again, it makes more sense for the art. We've established that. But for all these other instances, like I'll go back to NBA. There's this whole system developing as well. Like for they're selling a certain amount of LeBron dunks. Let's say LeBron is number 23. If the serial number of your pack is also number 23, then your highlight is worth more than the other ones because it's serial number 23 for number 23. That's worth more. Now, if Pokemon came out with NFTs and was like, you owned this Pokemon, like this original Pokemon, that would entice me more. I still wouldn't do it, but I'd be more enticed to do it. So what excites me about NFTs is money.
Yeah.
Because say I had bought one of these NBA Top Shot packs a week ago for $100 and it's got, a Steph Curry 3-pointer or whatever in it. And then, I sold that for $5,000. Easy profit. I don't know. And that's what a lot of people talk about with NFTs right now is selling their NFT because a lot of these are worth so much. I don't really know why they're called non-fungible things because people are selling them between each other once they have it. But apparently that means not tradable. So I don't really know what's happening there. But people are...
But yeah, that's another thing with me too. Like, if it's tradable, then it's definitely not fungible. Then it's definitely not fungible.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Here is the dumbest thing I've found in NFTs. So there is something called CryptoPunks. I don't know if you've heard of these.
I have not.
They are these faces. They're these avatars that people have made. These 8-bit pixelated avatar faces. There are 10,000 of these unique, quote unquote. They're all different from each other here. There's some examples. They're literally just like 8-bit avatar faces.
Okay.
It's literally just like I could pull this up. I could pull up Microsoft Paint right now and make one of these faces in 10 minutes. It wouldn't be that hard. In the last 12 months, 6,760 of them have been sold for an average price of $18,546. This is a face that I could make in Microsoft Paint. 6,000 of them, almost 7,000 of them, for $18,500 each on average. Just these avatar faces that you would pick as just like the character that someone sees in Minecraft if you walk near them. Is a little that's what it looks like. That's all it is. There's nothing to it. It's not made by anybody special. It's not some famous person that made these. It's not backed by any big corporation. It's just something that got popular on NFTs, and now they're worth a bunch of money. And I don't get it. Seriously, look up CryptoPunks, and you'll see the faces I'm talking about. It legitimately, you could draw in paint with your finger being controlled by a baby. They're just faces. And they're $18,500 on average.
Yeah, what are we doing here? Let's make some CryptoPunks.
I just don't understand this whole NFT thing. Pretty much really at all, to be honest with you. I understand that people want it because it counts as original. Fine. The art, I understand a little bit more. All these other aspects, I don't understand why people care.
Yeah, I'm not with
It's
it.
so stupid.
I mean,
I intend to make money off it in the future, but it's so stupid.
yeah, it makes me worried for the future of the internet, but hopefully it won't have anything to do with the free and open internet. I certainly hope not, because that's just one of my biggest fears, that I'll have to pay, $18 a month to use Twitter and $20 a month to use Facebook in the future. Like, it's just my worst fear.
I mean, if that happens, I just won't use them. I didn't use them for a long time, and I didn't care at all, so I just stopped using them. I have no problem with that.
It would be the worst.
Well, let me clarify that. I have problems with them starting, like, with those platforms charging in the future, but if they do, I have no problem with just
Right.
not using them anymore.
Yeah.
Because what do I care?
Yeah. So, NFTs, crazy. I'm genuinely invested in the future of these things. Like, I want to see what happens next. Because the reason why this kind of came up to us is because there's actually a band. What was it again?
Oh, who was it that was doing that? Philly D was just talking about it on a show the other day. There's some band that's releasing their album as an NFT. Again, this album is also coming out on Spotify. The exact same album. You're going to be able to listen to it on Spotify for free, or just for the amount that Spotify costs, just like normal. But they're also releasing it as an NFT. And that album counts as in the NFT stance, it is classified as the original work. And so anybody who buys it, that counts as the original album. But there's nothing different to it. It's not a physical copy. It's not signed. It's not it's just quote unquote original because they're selling it as an NFT. And that decision alone makes those instances count as the original. Nothing. That's the thing that bugs me, is that nothing is different about these things. It's just that these specific instances are being decided by whatever people corporation. These instances sold as NFT, which now immediately makes them count as the original.
I can understand it if it was a record that was limited release. We're selling 1,000 of them. If you're our biggest fans, pardon me, get in line. Spend money and then watch the madness happen. That'd be an interesting new way of making music that I think would be great. For people who are raving fans of music, who different artists.
Are you saying this in the sense of in this example, those 1,000 limited releases are the only ones available for listen?
Yes.
I don't like that idea.
Okay, but let me finish. I think that that is interesting. That's something that's breaking the barrier. They're not obvious. They're trying to make money because they're probably going to sell for 1,000 each. But you know what I mean? It's not it's not the same thing, but just pay extra money for this one. You know what I mean? That's even worse to me. If they're saying, hey, here's 1,000 physical records that we have that we're going to sell to our biggest fans. If you want them, great. If not, we're going to sell it to you just the original way that we've been doing it for 20 years or whatever. Some people like the record, the vinyl record. That's something that's antiquated and outdated, that's not used anymore. Some people, for their favorite albums, have to have the original vinyl record, and that's useless. That's dumb. In a sense that it's antiquated. It's like having a CD now. No one uses CDs anymore. But some people really like having the CD in their collection. So that's their own. It's value. It's intrinsic value to them. It's not value to anybody else. To the economy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that makes sense to me.
And I understand
but
both of those.
Defying all of those rules.
I understand both of those because they're physical.
Yeah.
And just as a side tangent, I also disagree that the record is useless, especially because a lot of people that collect those also have record players, and those are fun. I love record players.
Fun. But they're useless in terms of big economy money, big economy guy. It's hey, people are obviously making record players now because there was a demand for it in the late 2000s, in the early 2010s. People were wanting the original record, and because a lot of those players and stuff like that disappeared, no one was using them because the CD was the record killer. You know what I mean? They were using CDs because they were more compact. You could carry it around. So that makes sense, right? So all that innovation happened, and then people went back to the sonograph. That's what it's called, right? Sonograph?
Yeah.
So, they went back to it for the nostalgic feel. Like, this is the true way to listen to music. So people started buying records, and then people started selling records again. People, big music companies stopped selling records. From what I understand about this, this history. So now people who buy records, yeah, of course they have the record player, but they also don't just listen to it on the record. They listen to it on their phone. So that's it's a useless, quote unquote, to the economy. If it's, let's say I give you a sweatshirt, right? And I bought that sweatshirt for $60, and you don't really like the sweatshirt. Whatever price you resell it at, let's say it's $15, that's the price it's worth. So if you don't resell it, it's technically useless in terms of the economy. You see how that works? So like if you buy a sonograph and you only use it and you use it and whatever, and you never resell it, it is now intrinsically useless. Do you understand? It's a net loss for you because you
right. For me, yes, but in terms of the general, in general, it's not intrinsically useless. But in terms of my personal life,
right?
Yes, if I didn't use it.
So that's what doesn't make sense to me about these NFTs. If you're buying something that's completely original and there's nowhere else to get it, and that's the only way you get it, like a physical record, like a physical thing, and the person who's selling it says these are the only ones I'm making. Like a limited release for a shirt or, an event that you were at, like you can only get those there. That makes sense to me. That totally makes sense.
Right.
Some people, that's just the way that their minds think. I have to be there. I was here.
Like we both have a Be a Mythical Best shirt from when they did their all day live stream.
Yeah.
And I've worn it a million times since.
Yeah. And it makes total sense to me, but this is not that. And it's breaking the thing is it's working. First of all, it's working. People are obviously buying this stuff, and it breaks the rules of the economics that basic economics that we know about buying and selling things. There's no demand for this, yet people are buying it like crazy. And there's no reason for us to buy it, and it doesn't, add any value or anything, but yet people are still consuming it. It does not make sense to me at all. It would make sense if these highlights were nowhere to be found on the internet. They were wiped clean, and the NBA can definitely do that. That's 100% they can do. They can tell ESPN, stop running these highlights. We're selling them exclusively now. And that would make more sense to me. It would suck, right? People can't go on YouTube and watch it anymore.
Right, but I mean, even then, it's still impossible to regulate that on YouTube. They could tell the YouTube channel of ESPN or NBA, don't put out these highlights. All the other people on the internet that do NBA highlights can still post them. They can't be regulated for that.
They can post them, but they'll get taken down, just like music, just like anything else. You know what I mean? Like that's just there are ways to get around that. Like there are very, very easy ways to get around that. The reason why you can't post a video with copyrighted music, it's the same way. They can say this is a copyright from a live game that CBS recorded, and it's CBS's property. So tough luck. Anyone making the money off that video, they lose their money and they get their video taken down or whatever. But that's not what they're doing. That drives me crazy. Like. That's the way you make. To me, that's the way you would make your money. Make it only limited to the people who buy the highlight, and they can watch on their computer, and they can upload it and again take it down. You know what I mean?
I think if, again, I know we've harked on the NBA example of the longest or the most, but that's the one that makes the least sense, and that's why I'm harking on it so much. But if at some point they did somehow regulate, all this stuff is now taken off YouTube or whatever, I think that would drive a lot of people just away from the NBA in general.
100%.
Because a lot of people can't watch, the game. They're busy, they don't have it recorded or whatever, and so they'll go on the next day and they'll look up highlights of this specific game and see kind of what happened, really what the driving factors of the game were, and be like, okay, this is pretty much what happened. All the in-between stuff was just the basic stuff. They take that off, people are going to be driven away from the NBA in general, and just they won't watch. Less people will watch live. All these people are going to be buying highlights, and people are going to feel the exclusivity of it and just not be okay with it. And the NBA is probably going to end up eventually, they'll start losing money.
Yeah.
And any other corporation decide to do it that way, where they sell these exclusive videos and take them down everywhere else, they'll eventually start losing money because of the amount of people they're going to drive away. So right. I think they would know that, and they won't ever do that, which makes these NFTs make less sense as time goes on.
Yeah. But we don't have money like these people do. Maybe that's why it doesn't make sense to us.
I mean, like if a limited edition Pokemon card came out, right? And it was, some amount of money that wasn't crazy, I might consider it. But if that Pokemon thing was an NFT that was online, I would consider it 0%. I'm like I couldn't especially for like a Pokemon card specifically. I can't even use that one that I've now bought as an NFT. Like if I wanted to play the Pokemon trading card game, I can't play TCG with that. I can play TCG with whatever limited edition one they come out with.
Yeah. So dumb.
So
and
all
it's
in
even
all,
worse that people are selling videos of them opening Pokemon cards.
it's literally just video. They're called highlights, and they're literally just videos of Logan Paul opening the box of Pokemon cards, which again exists on YouTube. It's there. You can go watch it for free on YouTube. But owning the video of him doing it is important to people. Like these videos have sold for $15,000, $20,000, $25,000.
He's made millions.
He's made millions of dollars of just selling these NFTs of videos of him that are there for free on YouTube.
It's crazy.
Like I don't know how much we've stressed this, that this is all stuff that really is not that exclusive. It just is. It just counts as original from the way they've been sold. I don't understand it. I really don't.
Yeah, me neither. But it's kind of scary to me. I don't know. It makes me scared for the future.
I mean, whatever. I'll go make money off of it later. Next time NBA Top Shot is going to drop some of that, I'll go spend $100 on one of those packs because most likely whatever's in that pack will probably be worth more than the $100.
And you know what? We'll start selling exclusive episodes of Milk and Screams.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will.
We've been secretly videotaping these episodes, so we'll sell like the actual videotaped. I'm just kidding, we haven't been, but
this is what's gonna happen later on when we get really popular. We're gonna have a Discord. We're gonna do the podcast live on the Discord, but you have to be a Patreon.
Yep.
You have to be a patron of Patreon to be there for the live portion, and then if you want the video of that counts as the original version of the podcast, you can pay for that NFT as well.
Yep. And we're gonna be bajillionaires.
You make so much money, dude.
This conversation really wore me out because
I'm exhausted even thinking about NFTs and all the people that have bought. Again, the art, I understand a little bit more. That still kind of bugs me, but just my heart goes out to all the people that have bought NBA highlights and these crypto punks. My heart goes out to you for spending legitimately thousands of dollars on these things. You're an idiot. And I hate to you're stupid.
Yeah. I hope this kind of stuff becomes more mainstream so that we can shame more people for doing this.
Yeah, I hope this podcast becomes more mainstream so we can shame more people for doing this. And then we can weed out the weak, and only the fans that we inevitably have are the fans that we want.
Exactly.
That agree with us on every aspect of life.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, this is another episode of Milk and Screams.
That was Injuries and NFTs.
Injuries and NFTs. That's a new theme song right there.
That's what I'm naming this episode as well.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode. And it'll go live probably like Monday. I don't know why I'm telling you this because it's already live when you're listening to it.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. It'll go live before you started listening to this because you started listening to it.
Get exclusive access by going to No. We'll see you guys next week. Hope you guys enjoyed. Later.
Deuces.